It's a hell to go down, but more a hell to go up. Be careful, it's very dangerous.
Guys, come, let's talking, let's go! Do something!
Come on, guys, come on! Hold it, hold it, hold it!
The Photonis Ultimate Forces Challenge, an annual extreme endurance competition for athletes from across the globe. On the Indonesian island of Bali, 42 elite athletes push the limits of teamwork, tactics, and pure physical strength to prove who's the fittest of them all.
The last challenge was on the water, and despite one or two broken paddles and a few injuries, it was a real battle, head-to-head, team-to-team.
In the previous episode, our athletes competed head-to-head across 2 days in a battle of the water titans.
I was pumped, I was jacked up, that's awesome.
It was a day full of technical problems.
It was my paddle, yeah.
You're an animal.
Medic!
And the injuries began to mount up.
Medical team!
I've never seen him in that much pain.
Powerhouse Team South Africa didn't even reach the finals.
Get up there!
Outmanoeuvred and even outmuscled by teams Canada and Australia, with the Canadians eventually emerging victorious.
Today was awesome. We took home a win. So excited.
Canada's win catapulted them to third place behind Team South Africa and the USA. Fourth and fifth teams are Belgium and Australia. The competition remains wide open as the teams continue to find ways to close the gap on South Africa.
I think in any competition, you either are going to be the one with the target on your back or you're going to chase the one with the target. To be targeted is what's going to make us win this in the end.
Good to see the other teams, we get a bit closer to them, and maybe there's a change in the leadership of who's in front. So we'll see how they pull up on this with their injuries and their confidence.
How's it going, guys?
Not just a big man, Terence also has the biggest injury to date. He cut his toe and required stitches.
So it's a little bit swollen, but when the challenge starts, adrenaline takes over, everything takes over, so we'll see.
So adrenaline is the key on this new day, with an entirely new challenge, which can put the rankings into a tailspin.
This next challenge is a balancing one. It involves a rope meters above the ground. And just remember, our teams have no idea what they're going to be doing until just minutes before they start.
Today's event involves a 1 kilometre military-style obstacle course through an isolated canyon. First survive the run, and then the teams will face a daunting tightrope challenge.
We're going to do stairs, go down initially, and then there's kind of a rope wall.
It's the first serious obstacle of many standing in their way.
We all had to get over that, and then we had to climb up some stairs, turn around, come back, pick up a kettlebell.
There's a rock with a big handle on it, and you had to run back up the stairs to a tightrope apparatus. Take the satchel and your team.
Get to the top of the rope, get across that without touching the ground. Bring that weight with you along the 3 loops, and then to the finish line.
To add insult to injury, the temperature today is 31 degrees Celsius, with a suffocating humidity of 76%. After nearly a week of debilitating challenges, the athletes' bodies are starting to struggle.
We're on a new day, new challenge. How you feeling?
But people are sort of dropping like flies right now. It seems that maybe we can use that to our advantage, but we're down to 5 as well today, so we don't have 6. So that'll be a new challenge for us within it.
As we learn from the tug-of-war challenge, the Photonis Ultimate Forces challenge awaits for no one. Team USA report to the start line, a man down.
Be careful, the body is more important than the time.
And with this warning by race officials, the games can begin. Team USA are up first.
1, go!
Just 1 mile, but with little preparation. Part of the brutal game called UFC.
We really didn't have an idea. We've never done anything like that. Being from the US, we don't really do any of that stuff where some of the European teams would have. So our tactic right off the bat was to be quick on the stairs.
So far, so good. The next obstacle is the cargo net. The athletes must scale it or risk a penalty. Once on the other side, the Americans steady the net to make it easy for the others to pass. a very smart move, and it saves them precious time.
Our goal, we just didn't want to be last. That was sort of our thing coming into this. We didn't want last place. You worry about your pride probably a little bit.
We knew that we had a strong team for carrying the weight up the stairs would be our strong point.
Stephanie darts ahead and grabs the heavy handbag on her own.
We also didn't want to burn ourselves out for what we had to do ahead, so we actually swapped out the weight going up the stairs with 3 people. Steph grabbed it first, and then Chris, and then I grabbed it at the very ending, just running to the obstacle.
After descending to the bottom of the canyon and back, the Americans are nearing the most difficult obstacle of the challenge, the tightrope. And remember, the athletes haven't seen this structure before the start, so tactics must be improvised on the spot.
When we got to the tightrope apparatus, a different contraption and setup that we had thought.
Our tactic was just to get a couple of people onto the rope and see sort of how we handle it.
So we immediately knew that we had to get one of our girls across, who was quite strong of her upper body, and try to pull some slack to the line to let the others come up.
The rope is slack for a reason. To scale it requires both strategy and teamwork. The problem is, only one person can go at a time. Every choice comes with a consequence.
Can somebody go on the other side?
We knew that Chris was going to be our guy to carry that, as he's the strongest.
None of the American athletes have the grace of a professional climber, so they have to literally struggle for every inch forward.
Chris was the first guy up, and I passed him the weight, and he was able to manage, with my help, underneath him to get the weight across.
The rules state that the rock must be hoisted over the bamboo poles, but they don't say the rock must travel the entire distance in the air.
Just pass it to me on the other side. Okay, you can drop it, yeah.
Their strategy is paying off, proving that sometimes ingenuity trumps experience.
And I felt it worked out pretty well. I think it was good for our first time. I was happy.
We almost forgot to put it over the beam. That would have been a penalty, but we caught that one last minute, so that was good.
And then we thought we'd get the rest of the crew up, and then I thought I'd take the last position and then continue on.
I thought our technique was okay, and I thought we got over quite quickly.
With 5 teams in the competition, there's no time to waste. The next team up is Team South Africa.
Go!
Despite his toe injury, Terence shows no sign of slowing down.
Our strategy for the tightrope was quite different. We've got 3 really strong runners. So we wanted them to get ahead and get to the handbag and bring it up. However, as we got down to the bottom, we saw the net that we had to climb over.
With their strength and weight, the South Africans expertly anchor the cargo net by pulling at its sides and stretching it taut. South Africa very wisely send their fastest runners forward to get a head start up the strenuous stairs.
Celeste and I have got a lot of endurance on our side, so we took it to the starting point.
Being the strongest runner doesn't necessarily mean the strongest for the handbag. But the decision for Diane and Celeste to go forward seems to be a wise one.
It was a lot of fun. It quad burned like we have never, but it's what we used to. To be able to change your strategy on the spot is also something that I think we are figuring out, that we actually really quite good at it.
Improvising can get you a long way, but the fatigue is already setting in after an explosive start. By the time they reach the top, they are worn out, and they still have to carry the rock over the tightrope structure.
When we got to the obstacle, we had a good strategy in the sense that we got that rope anchored.
Dina is the first to go, while the rest of the crew try to keep the rope tight.
I got you. Let's go.
We sent people across and we moved the handbag like past the parcel.
Sounds like a plan, but unfortunately for South Africa, this obstacle has the ability to make even the most professional athletes look amateur.
Go! What are we doing? Come on!
Go! Now someone needs to follow him and take it in the middle. Go, go, go. You got to follow him.
My tactic was to place the kettlebell, which looked like, onto my chest and hang at the bottom of the rope towards each pole.
Let's go.
It's not that easy to balance it on your stomach. It wants to roll out the side, so maybe in terms of speed it would have been the best, but you'd have to find a way to attach that weight to your body. Getting to the other side, someone would have to grab the weight for you.
Come on! Come on, guys, come on. Come inside.
It was a different idea, but maybe not the best idea at first.
Guys, come, let's talking, let's go! Do something!
After finally hoisting the rock over the last pole, the rest of the team quickly pull themselves across the line.
Go, go, go!
Go, boy. Go on. Go over this side.
Team South Africa finish, but there are 3 other teams that are yet to compete. Team Belgium gather at the start line.
Your attention! 3, 2, 1, go!
The Belgians have been quietly impressive throughout the competition, showing they can excel in both endurance and their teamwork.
Yes, in Team Belgium we are not the strongest, but we are mentally getting stronger and stronger, and that's the thing. I think if you are mentally strong, and you do it as a team, and then you use some tactics in it, I think you can make it very far in this competition. And if we are spared of injuries, we will come far in this game.
However, the Belgians show early that they aren't exactly skilled at the art of rope climbing. Instead of anchoring the net for each other, they lose time by scaling it on their own. The Belgians also seem so focused on going forward that they end up leaving someone behind. Bianca is really struggling to get over that cargo net.
We are over the net, but it's pretty difficult for Bianca.
She's not that good in climbing, so we have to help her a lot. So we have to stay together. Don't leave her, because when we leave her, she's not getting over it.
Come on, Bianca! Come on!
MMA fighter Rudy sprints back to help her scale the wall, but not before unnecessarily losing valuable seconds. Superman Rudy also takes charge of carrying the weight up the mountain.
Bianca, she's struggling with it. She gets pretty emotional.
While the other Belgians sprint in Rudy's wake, Eva waits for Bianca to catch up and offers her some much-needed motivation to help her up the hill. One more beast of an obstacle left for Team Belgium. The athletes already at the rope decide to proceed and not wait for Bianca and Eva.
We help each other on the rope, because when you are to climb on the rope, I think it's very hard to do that one. So we're gonna use the step on my shoulders again, and then on the rope. And then we're gonna go over it with all the team.
Instead of letting her rest and recover her nerve, the Belgians make the curious choice of immediately sending Bianca over the obstacle.
For Bianca, it was the first time to get on the rope.
Tackling your fear head-on is often the best cure for fear. Bianca's teammates encourage her to push her beyond her limits. In a rush to save time, Sander jumps on the rope with the weight, not waiting for Bianca to reach the other side.
Running on the stairs was not that difficult with the stone, but then we came on the ropes, and that was difficult. You couldn't hang it somewhere or put it on your back or something. You had to carry it in one hand and then climb with the other hand. And that was very tough. That was very tough.
Bianca is still struggling, but finally reaches the end of the rope. Rudy is already done and returns to anchor the rope for his teammates. Meanwhile, Sander is carrying the rock from the very beginning all the way to the end.
We'll stand on the rope, Anka. Stand on the rope. On the rope. In the back. Come on. Get out the rope. Is it over? Get out the rope. Is it over?
Sander successfully plants the handbag over the finish line. Now it's down to Bart and Eva to get to the end, while Rudy holds the rope. Just a few more metres and Team Belgium are done. Especially for Bianca, this challenge has been excruciating.
Well done. Well done, Bianca.
This is also a challenge for Bianca.
I was so scared. I didn't do it. Never. This was my first time. I didn't think I could do this.
We did it as a team. We finished as a team.
Yeah. Well,
3, 2, 1, go!
Team Canada and Australia have stepped up their game in the last two challenges. Last week they finished first and second in the brutal paddle battle on the water. Team Canada goes first.
Climbing ropes isn't a big thing for our team. We don't do it a lot. We know where our strengths are and our weaknesses are. Some of the teams are very good cardio-wise and climbing-wise. We're not the strongest with running. We're not the strongest with climbing and stuff. As long as we work together as a team, I'm satisfied wherever we land in the standings.
The Canadians are quick to anchor the net and even quicker to pass over the wall. Perhaps a tad too quick.
I went over the net wall, got over the top. I'm like, I can clear this, and just jumped down, and that was my plan. But my foot got caught, and I did a bit of a face flip. But I'm okay. I wasn't hurt.
Being the team's most all-round man, Matt carries the handbag up the mountain on his own.
We had what they call a handbag. It's not. That's a lie. It's a giant rock with a handle.
We knew we wanted Brooke to go first.
Having run ahead, Brooke quickly scales the obstacle. Without the pressure of teammates around him, he is able to formulate a strategy as he makes his way over the bamboo poles.
Being our heaviest guy, so that once he got over, he'd be able to provide an anchor to keep the tightrope taut.
Meanwhile, the stairs are taking their toll on Matt. Once everybody is assembled at the rope, Paul sets out the tactics with the help of Brooke's assessment of the rope.
Some of us are weaker on the ropes than others, so instead of just climbing straight up like a rope climb, we kind of pulled the rope back initially for a 45, so it was easier for the weaker persons to climb that rope to get to the top.
Smart tactics, but Team Canada seem to have their own problems.
I'm afraid of heights, so I remember when I got to the top, I looked down and I'm like, oh boy, I hope I can do this. And I told myself I can, and I kept going.
Without looking down, JJ tries to make it to the other side and succeeds.
Once we got to the top, they passed me the rock and we did the loops. One strong in the back and then kind of moved as a team throughout.
I thought we did really well on that one. It was a little bit slow, but my team, we worked really well together, got each other across. We had no penalties.
Matt, their anchor, climbs over the obstacle and finishes the job.
It was a lot of fun. Like, that one was neat. They did really well in setting that up.
1, 2, 3!
Last but not least, Team Australia.
2, 1, go!
Had to run down these old stairs, very uneven, made it very difficult, quite steep, particularly for my wife, who's about 5 foot tall.
When the Australians get to the cargo net, they adopt a strategy commonly referred to as every man for himself.
Our tactic was just to keep moving. Heads up bums.
Wayne, Australia's go-to guy when it comes to endurance, reaches the rock first and runs ahead alone.
Keep that rock. Keep going, keep going. You get up there.
With some athletes still busy with the running and the stairs, Victoria is the first to try to conquer the rope.
Keep that momentum going was our tactic. Not to have big gaps between the people because that's going to delay it. So as soon as someone was up on the first bamboo, the next person was up, and Wayne was last, so he could use his height to help some of the people up as well.
Embracing the same tactic as Team Belgium and Team Canada, strongman Adam carries the weight over the obstacle all on his own.
Ready, Nikki, go.
No.
That's it.
That game for us went really well up until the midpoint.
Ready there, Vic. Keep going.
Even with the rope not being as tight as it could be, Adam's speed is impressive. Robin Ann is there to help him finish it off. At this point, they're clearly out in front, But then, disaster strikes.
Use your leg. Okay, I'm going to get back up there.
Tick-tock, fall or not, the clock keeps ticking.
Nikki had a little bit of a stumble on the middle rope. She's just lost her balance when it's flicked a little bit, and she's come to the ground. But the great thing was, my teammates who were free and had finished, they all ran in and helped her and got her up.
Over.
Nevertheless, this mistake cost them precious time.
And to show how friendly and close everybody within this competition has become, we've heard from the sidelines all the other teams yelling and cheering on Nikki to get back up on the rope, and the little battler, she got back up on there and finished the rope.
Got you here.
That saved us that time to allow us to even get a good time with the mistake in the middle. It was a really good team effort.
And with Australia crossing the finish line, all teams are done.
No. You did well. You got back up. That was amazing.
As quick as we could have gone.
Whereas one team bonds in the hardships, the other teams look back in regret.
We were frustrated. We were down to 5, so that was one less guy that would have been more helpful getting up the tightrope and holding more slack in the line, that we would have got up quicker.
Good job, guys. Good job, Nikki. It's one of these events where we did it. We did it well. We worked really well together. I remember when we finished, I was like, this feels slow.
But there's only one way to find out how everybody has performed in this fatiguing challenge. The final results.
Number 3, Team Australia.
To beat 2 other teams, still with that happening in the middle, was a fantastic result for us. And look, if it didn't happen, yeah, we might have got first, but at the end of the day, we regrouped and walked away with a pretty great result.
And then, the winner of the tightrope challenge.
Team Belgium.
We didn't expect that. We were like the others was much stronger, but we used the right tactic here, I think, and that's what we did.
I'm very, very proud of Belgium. If you look at their set of skills and what they have, I think they're doing very, very well. Major, major respect for Belgium.
With their win, the Belgians continue to quietly climb the leaderboard, while South Africa claims second place after recovering from a couple of hard losses. Team Australia, despite Nikki's fall, clocked in at 3rd, followed by Team Canada. The Americans finished last for a second straight event. The result is that Team Australia remain in last place, followed by Canada. South Africa's second place finish in the challenge keeps them atop the rankings, while the Belgians' impressive performance pushes them into a shared second place with the USA.
Belgium, small countries. Yeah, we're coming, South Africa. Watch out.
Very light-hearted people. They don't take themselves too seriously, and I like that about them.
But things will not get any easier in the next challenge, where all teams will face a real bottleneck.
Bianca, we let her out.
My thought process was I was going to play mind games with Victor.
He rattled me. He really did.
I am absolutely furious about it. We came here for a challenge.
Got to the top just at the same time, lost my balance, and was head first.